Alright, so yet again, I have another new health thing, and this time it is bursitis in both of my hips. You know, it never seems to end, and that's kind of what chronic illness is like your body, it just feels like is constantly fighting, not even just to get to like baseline, but just to try surviving minute to minute, day to day. And I ended up basically creating a new problem while I was trying to solve another one. So let's get into the story today. Ooh, also I am like already so flushed. Oh my gosh, also I broke my bracelet. I don't know what I did in my sleep last night, but it must have been a crazy sleep because I broke out two of my bracelet threads. But I'm in a little bit of a crash right now. I've just been on the couch the last few days, and so I'm flushing so much because recording this video takes a lot of effort and energy for me, and then after I record this video I'm gonna go right back on the couch. It has been a lot, I'm not gonna lie. So about 3.5 weeks ago, I started having really bad hip pain. The current theory right now is that I started having hip pain because I was in PT, physical therapy, for my Achilles tendonitis, which was in both of my Achilles. It's never just one too, you know, it's like I have osteoarthritis in both my shoulders, I had tendonitis in both my Achilles, now I have bursitis in both of my hips. I really just try to balance it out in my body, I think. And so basically, I think what happened is that during the physical therapy, they wanted me to massage both of my Achilles as part of my physical therapy when I wasn't in office. They recommended I get this like peanut ball, it's like this like massage ball, and I was like, okay, you know, I have such limited energy, this is gonna be tough to figure out how to use it. And the way she showed me to use it was like basically being on the floor, and then you kind of put your Achilles on it and your whole body is kind of going back and forth. And I was like, my wrists are pretty weak and painful, I'm not sure I can do that. So what I ended up doing, mistake number one, was taking the massage ball, putting it on my desk, and then putting my hip on it, and then like going back and forth, trying to use my arms to kind of support my foot and my leg going back and forth. So I did that for like a week, and that might have caused the problem. However, you know, I haven't been using it since the hip pain started getting really bad, and the bursitis hasn't gone away. So I don't know, maybe it triggered the bursitis, but obviously something is just really wrong with my body that something as simple as that can cause such a huge, massive chain of reaction and cause like other problems. So basically, after my hip started hurting, it started really being painful on a Monday when I went to PT. And my Achilles physical therapy was hurting my hip so bad. Like doing the activities was really hurting my hip. Basically, it had been hurting my hip at home as well. And that day I actually was off to get x-rays, which weren't even related to this new hip pain. I had just been having hip problems recently where like if I bend over, my hip cracks, almost feeling like it's popping out of place or something, but it would make this noise and I would be like, oh my God, it would hurt so bad. And I obviously have been trying not to bend over, but kind of in both hips, this has happened before. And so, you know, we were just kind of doing x-rays on the hips and also my knees because I've been having knee problems, and when I'm trying to do physical therapy and I'm on all fours trying to do physical therapy, my knees would just kill me. And so that same Monday, as the really painful PT, I was off to x-rays. And while I was on the x-ray table, he wanted me to like point my toes. Just lying on the x-ray table was so incredibly painful. Anything hard, so sitting on a hard chair, has been so painful on my hips. I feel like I'm 90 years old because this pain feels like a deep bone pain that's always dull, aching, throbbing, always there. It obviously gets worse if I use it or if I sit on a chair that's not padded or whatever, but it's always there. And so when they had me lying on this table getting x-rays, I was in so much pain. Pointing my toes was so incredibly painful. I don't know why. But anyway, so I had those x-rays done and nothing showed up on my hips. A lot of weird stuff showed up on my knees, including like a bone island, like a benign tumor, a bunch of other random stuff. But the radiologist suggested getting more x-rays, more radiographs of my femur because of what they'd found in my knee. So like about 2 weeks later, I went back and got more x-rays of just my femur. And that was so incredibly painful yet again to be on this incredibly hard plastic table, and I was just in so much pain. After that Monday, and you know, I was waiting for the x-rays to come back, and it took a couple of days, and then they came back, and then I just basically talked to my PT, and she was like, all right, let's not do PT for 2 weeks, and then we'll come back and, you know, see what's going on. So I basically put my PT on hold. I wasn't doing at-home exercises or anything. And then after that time, because I was hoping, okay, if it was just the peanut ball, the pain, you know, will start to subside and potentially go away if I'm not using the peanut ball, right? That's the hope. But that did not end up happening. And so after probably about 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks, I called my doctor and I said, like, look, I've been in so much pain. You know, I don't tolerate ibuprofen or really pain meds at all. So I'm not looking for pain meds, but I'm just wanting to figure out what's going on because they did the x-ray and it was fine. So obviously something else is going on, and I really would like to figure out what's going on because it's starting to be increasingly painful and more concerning. And I basically can't use the bottom half of my body at all because it really irritates the pain. And you know, I've started walking differently, so my gait is being affected. And as soon as you start adjusting how you walk or adjusting how you do things because of a joint pain, that can cause a cascade of other problems. I ended up also seeing my chiropractor around this time, and he said, okay, like your pelvis is like a little tilted. So he was trying to do some stuff to help, but I'm so sensitive, so he wasn't doing like crazy adjustments, more like smaller massage adjustments to see if that would help. Around this time I called my doctor, and for some reason it just takes so long to get in to see this traditional PCP. I'm kind of seeing an integrative PCP and then also this traditional PCP. It was going to take a week to get in to see them. The nurse was like, this has been happening for more than 3 days. I want to see you in like 3 days or less. But they just could not get me in until it had been another week. And so that's why I ended up being so long before I was seen for these problems. So anyway, I ended up getting the femur x-ray, and that didn't show anything either. And then I got in to see my PCP, and she did an exam, and she said, okay, there is fluid in your Bursa Sac on both of your hips, which indicates bursitis. And so what I would like you to do is I want you to contact your rheumatologist, and I want you to ask for prednisone, a steroid treatment. She said, I can give it to you, but it would probably be better if your rheumatologist was like looped in on this. And I had done prednisone 20 days earlier this spring, as some of you might remember. I did 20 days, basically a tapered dose. So 20 milligrams for 5 days, 15 for 5 days, 10 for 5 days, and 5 for 5 days. And that would just hopefully help the bursitis, get the inflammation under control, because all my joints, all of my body have just kind of been flaring with this increase in inflammation. Like my hands hurt so bad, my shoulders been hurting a lot more, my neck hurts, my lower back hurts. Like it just feels like everything has kind of gotten out of control with this flare. So she said, you know, I want you to get steroids from your rheumatologist, and then I also want you to start PT for your hips. So she gave me a script for that, which was actually good because I had actually just graduated from Achilles PT. So even though I was unable to do stuff for a while, I still had improved enough to the point where I could graduate, which was really exciting. So now I will be starting physical therapy for my hips. And then she also said, I want you to take a leave for the inflammation, which side journey, I was like, oh yeah, we have a leave. We don't. All of ours have expired, so we don't have any. This was last Tuesday. She wanted me to start a leave. Today is Saturday. And then on the way back home from acupuncture on Thursday, our car died, and my dad is currently not available for the next like more than a week. And so yeah, I currently cannot get any new leave or my prednisone. My rheumatologist did say, okay, we're gonna do prednisone. And they actually wanted to do injections directly into my hip. And I don't know if you come in for multiple injections or if you get all your prednisone at once, but I think my body would be super overwhelmed with that. I'm not sure I could tolerate that. And I know that I can tolerate the prednisone taper that we had done this spring. So I said, I'm really proud of myself because it's actually really hard for me to advocate for myself and push back. But I said, actually, you know, I think the oral might be better. That's what, you know, my PCP had recommended and what I've tried before and what I've been able to tolerate. And I'm really sensitive to stuff and I'm not sure I would tolerate the injection. So she said, okay, let me check. And then she came back and said, yeah, we can do that. And I was like, I'm so proud of myself for advocating for that. So anyway, then for a couple of days, the prednisone was out of stock at my local pharmacy. And so by the time it came back in stock on Friday, our car had already died Thursday night. And that was a whole journey. The cars were going so fast. A couple of cop cars went by. They didn't stop. There were like 2 lanes of traffic and we had been able to pull into this place where like people could go around us, but it was still unsafe. Like we were outside the car, but it was like some cones would be helpful here. Cops didn't stop, nobody else stopped, but we ended up being able to find a tow company who towed us back to our garage, and then we had to find a ride home. It was a very, very eventful day, and I did not feel relaxed after my acupuncture appointment. I think that totally negated the positive effects of the acupuncture appointment, but things happen. So now we're currently looking for a new car, in addition to me not being able to get my prednisone or my Aleve and just kind of being in pain. So I do start PT on Monday, fingers crossed. I think we're gonna go for a rental car. And then I have a bunch of other doctor's appointments this whole week that are kind of important. So it has been a lot. Being in pain, especially hip pain, where it's just so central to your body. Like if it's a limb, I do a better job of kind of like cutting that off in my mind and numbing that area and being able to deal with the pain. But something so central like your hips has been very difficult. Sleeping has been really hard. It's really hurt in almost any position, and I've had a lot of lower back pain, and it has been a journey. So fingers crossed that I'm able to start the prednisone soon, like a week after it was prescribed. And then also, you know, taking a leave potentially, and then also starting the PT. I'm hoping all of that helps the bursitis and pain starts to go down, because it's just getting a little tiring to have so many areas of pain in my body with my endometriosis and all my joint pain for my Sjogren's, and it's been a lot. So I'm hoping this flare tapers down on the prednisone, going on steroids. You know, obviously there's a lot of side effects and I'm not able to sleep very well on it. So we shall see, but I did get a huge burst of energy last time on it, and so fingers crossed that I get that again. So that was my story of getting bursitis. We'll see how this next week or two goes with trying to solve this problem. I don't know if you can see baby. You can't really see baby, but she's sitting right there. She just made a noise. But I've been cuddling my kitties and just really trying to rest because I've been in so much pain. So that's my story. I'm hoping this takes care of it, because my dad was telling me that like my grandfather or great-grandfather or something had bursitis in his knee, and he had to get it, basically the fluid like taken out of his knee every so often, and then finally they just removed the whole Bursa Sac because it was such a problem. And I'm like, I don't want to have that happen. So I'm really hoping these things take care of it. All right, I will talk to you all soon, my friends. I am gonna go die on the couch, not gonna lie. And I hope you all are having an amazing day. Talk soon, friends. Bye.